everyone. Sound check, picture check, everything good? Can you hear me? I'm looking at the chat right now. Yes, perfect. All right. Yeah, wow. A lot of people have showed up again, and I did not expect so many. Um, Thank you very much for showing up. The chat's racing right now. That is really, really cool. Yeah, we're at 50,000 subscribers. This is incredible. Um, when we did the 10,000 subscriber live stream, there were like, I don't know, 100 people there congratulating me, and now it's almost 400 people watching this. This is incredible, and it just took 10 months. And first of all, I'd really like to know again where you all from, because that is always super exciting to see that there's people from all around the world. I've even seen somebody from Australia already in the chat, and it's like 3 in the morning over there. It's just thank you for showing up. I've seen you, Jared, as well. Thank you for showing up. That is just awesome that you're here now. And wow, that is insane. We've got everything: India, Czech Republic, California, Seattle. Oh my God, the chat is freaking out here right now. Lots of people from the United States again, of course. We've got the United Kingdom. We've got somebody from Germany. That is really cool. Denmark. Somebody from Mars, as always. Welcome to Earth. How's the reception up there? That is just incredible. Wow. Lots of people from Germany. That is surprising. Cool. France, Belgium. How are you all holding up with Corona, by the way? You on lockdown as we are, or have been, for the last 3 weeks? That is just crazy what's going on right now. Wow. Arkansas, Netherlands, very cool. Catalonia, Poland, Kalala, very nice. Very cool. Holy cow. Yeah, holy cow, you said it. Exactly. You know why I said it? It's because YouTube lifted the ban on the word corona like a week ago. The background to the whole thing is that YouTube demonetized any video that had the word corona on it. And I know there have been a lot of people wondering on the comments why I always said, I think I said a certain illness. That's why, because they demonetized anything that had the word corona or COVID-19 or whatever. Everything got demonetized instantly. And so I had to do that. And now I can finally say it. It's corona. There we go. YouTube lifted the ban. Thank you for the super chats. That is much appreciated. And Anthony and William, Ohio here. Great work, Felix. Keep it up. Can't think of questions yet. Today's live. First of all, I'm just here to have a good time with you guys. Since we're all in social isolation right now, I thought it would be a good idea to have a live stream even without a launch. We have something to celebrate, so that works. And the general topic is you can ask me anything. That's what the title says. And also, I want to focus on how to make a YouTube channel, how to make it happen, what is needed, what have I learned in the past 10 months, how has my life changed, anything you want to ask me about that. I even have something. Let me just see if this works right now. Give me a second. There we go. Look at that. I have a camera that I can move around, and I'm going to show you the whole studio as soon as we've settled down a little bit. So this is my trusty gyro with the smartphone on it, and it is wireless. It is wireless, and it works, and that is awesome. IV cam, thank you very much. So we're going to do that later. And like I said, the topic, if you have any questions about that is what I prepared for. Of course, you can also ask me anything about Starship and SpaceX if you want to, though tomorrow's episode is almost done, so that there you'll have your next regular update, of course. I have another super chat from No Doubt. Thank you very much. Thank you from Czech Republic. Very, very cool. Thank you very, very much. That is much appreciated. It's crazy how this Tramp, thank you. That is cool. Coffee money from Tramp. Thank you very much. It's crazy what this channel has went through. over the past 10 months is it's incredible. We have 315 patrons by now, which always baffles me, to be honest. It's an honor to have every single one of them. I know there are some of them are already in here, and we have YouTube members. We've had that for 1.5 months now. I'd have to check though how many there are. Let me. We have 48 YouTube members already. Anybody who has a colorful name in here is a YouTube member. And Night Fox, and I can't read any of what you just said. Thank you very much for the super chat. If you want to give me a translation, because I totally don't, I mean, I could put it through a Google Translator, but I think that, now the noise in the background, by the way, I can show you the first thing in the studio. Give me a second. The noise in the background, the microphone's probably going to go a little silent here. That is Streaming Cat. She wants to get out, and I'll probably let her out because that's the door right over there. And I think she wants to get out. She wants to leave me while I'm streaming. That is not good. All right, give me a second. I'll let the cat out. There you go. All right. Sorry, I'm back. Didn't want to let the cat wait. There we go. Oh. There we go. All right. We have another. No, that was no doubt. Oh, he became a member. Wow. Thank you very, very much for becoming a YouTube member. It's just, yeah, I can show you the telescope as well. It is just awesome how much support I'm getting with the channel. It's mind-blowing, and I don't know where this is gonna go, but I'll continue to do what I'm doing. And serial number 5's halfway done. Yeah, at least the bulkheads, and I'm gonna have that on tomorrow's episode as well. It is sick. The speed SpaceX is doing right now in Boca Chica is just it's getting faster and faster. It took them like 8 days to almost finish serial number 4. I have a neat calculation on tomorrow's episode on how many starships with the current speed they'd actually be able to manufacture in a year, and it is pretty impressive already. So we can look forward to something in Boca Chica. Just give me a second. I want to check something. Yep, there we go. Actually, I just retweeted Mary, Boca Chica gal. She's just awesome with what she's doing, and she's super quick, and oh my god, I'm getting more members. Thank you for the support. That is just awesome. Very, very much. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Hussein. I think that is right. And another super chat from Stefan. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, thanks for liking my content. I'm putting a lot of work into it. That's what I'm going to show you later on too, the whole editing process and what it takes to get an episode out. I'll try to show you as much as I can, so you'll get a little insight into what the steps are from research to the full release of an episode. Basically, that's what we're going to go through today, and I'm going to show you everything I'm doing there. I want to show you something here real quick if you haven't seen it yet. There we go. That is the latest. I'm gonna make myself even a little bit smaller. That just as a little update on the Starship. That's what's happened like an hour ago in Boca Chica. So they are lifting the thrust section into the high bay, and that's the final step of stacking, basically. So they're going to put that on the jig, and the skirt is still missing under it, but yeah, we're getting there, and the nose cone is really close by. So I'm really interested to see if they are going to put that on serial number 4. It's hard to tell because they didn't have it on serial number 3, but enough of Starship here. I just wanted to show you that real quick. Can't really do anything at all without Starship updates, I guess. I have another super chat. Thank you very much, George. I don't know where Ron comes from, what currency that is, but I appreciate it very much. Thank you for the support. It's just Awesome, incredible. There's an audio gremlin. Yeah. Oh wait. Gremlin. There we go. Should be better now. Check your audio levels. What's wrong with the audio levels? Give me a second. 1 second. I think my wife just. Moment. Ja. Ja, ja, ich hab schon aus. Alles gut. Liebe dich. Alright, that was my wife telling me about the audio gremlin, but that was just Mary's video in the background. So I turned that down. If there's any more problems, just tell me. I always have problems with my audio or the camera. I can't really get rid of it, but we're going to try our best. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, it was from the Boca Chica feed. It was Mary's wind noise, because the video is unedited. The one that she posted on Twitter. Jack Beyer does the edits for Mary. He's edited episodes, What About It episodes as well, and he's done a great job with that. And so that was an unedited version, and then the wind noise is still in. Jack takes that out and replaces it with a typical beep 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 from the moving scissor lifts and stuff like that. He loves the beep noises. Yeah, she's on the coast. Big Rat Killer 1, she's right next to the coast, so there's always wind going there. When I was in Boca Chica, there was not a second when we didn't have a good breeze going. Stein G is asking, will the Starship skydiver approach work? Hard to tell before we have an actual test. We'll have to wait and see. In theory, the simulations they showed were sound, and it should work. But we'll have to wait and see. Nobody will be able to tell before we haven't seen the first Starship drop down to the atmosphere, which is going to be an awesome sight, and maybe we're going to see that this year. I just gave you a Starship. Marco is asking, any updates on Starship? I just gave you a Starship update. And everything else is going to come in tomorrow's episode. Basically, there's as always, there's a lot happened in the space industry lately. So actually, it's a pretty long Starship update tomorrow. I have a really nice second topic that I don't want to unveil yet, and it's not about SpaceX again, because I've done a lot about SpaceX recently. I mean, the Starship updates are a fixed thing on the episode, and I'm always going to do that because it's so interesting what's happening there. But I'm trying to focus a little bit more on other stuff with the second topic, if possible, because SpaceX is doing so much that sometimes it's just not possible. Like last time, the topic about Doug Hurley and Bob Bainkin was so interesting that I just wanted to put it in, and then you have an episode that is all about SpaceX. So I sometimes get negative comments about that, but that is just seriously not because I'm a SpaceX fanboy. I mean, I love what they're doing, without a doubt, but it's also that they are doing double of what everybody else is doing, and so there's double the amount of news, and so yeah, lots of SpaceX news out there. When will I interview Elon Musk? I'm looking forward to that day, but I don't have any confirmation yet, so we'll have to wait and see. Maybe Sammy and Aaron can do something about it. They did a awesome job with Robert Zubrin. They asked him for me, basically, because I was too busy. And then Aaron, just one of my moderators, another space nut, he approached me asking if I wanted to do an interview with Robert Zubrin. I said, sure, if he wants to. And then he just bombarded him on Twitter. And he said yes. And it's just awesome. And it was so much fun to talk to that man. That's a fascinating personality. He's done so much stuff in his life, and so diverse too. He hasn't been focusing on one thing. He's done all kinds of stuff, and that creates a very deep mind. It was, 1.5 hours of fun. That was for sure. What about Blue Origin? That is an important topic for you, Jared. There's no news right now. I had a big update when they released their videos, but their videos about New Glenn production. But right now, it's hard to get news on Blue Origin because they are not as open as SpaceX. They don't have any Boca Chica gal next to the factory looking inside with a camera. So we'll always have to wait for them to publish anything. Everything else would be speculation. I mean, I like speculating, but on news only based on speculation, I won't do that. So we'll have to wait and see. Maybe Dave Lavoie does another trip down there and gets me some pictures. That would be cool. If there is any progress there, I'll definitely talk about it. Yeah, they are crazy, crazy Johnson boys. They are very secretive, much more than SpaceX is, and it is really hard to get news. I always have to dig in and get locals to take pictures and research, and because I'm not in Florida yet, we're planning to maybe move to Florida, which would be absolutely awesome. We don't know yet if it's going to work out because of Corona and everything. The plans are on hold right now, of course, but if we do so, I'd be much closer to Blue Origin, so that would improve the situation for sure. Mr. Kraft, thank you very much for the super chat, and thank you for the compliment. I have a sister and a brother in the United States, and that's partly why my English is, I'd say, a little bit better than the average German ones, but it also means that every person from the UK always approaches me saying, you have a bad American accent. Well, that's because I learned it over there. Thank you, Bandman. Thank you very much for the super chat. I will. I'm planning to do this as long as anybody wants to watch. I'll put out episodes. It's so much fun to do this, and I've said that on live streams before. Before I started the YouTube channel, I was just a regular space nerd. I have my telescope, and I watched the same channels you guys watch, basically, like Everyday Astronaut, Scott Manley, and Fraser Cain is a really good one that is normally overlooked when it comes to naming famous space channels. Nobody names Fraser Cain. I really like the guy, and many others. SpaceX Centric actually wasn't around yet when I stopped actively watching these kinds of videos, because now that I make them myself, I really don't watch them anymore. Sometimes I do. I love Everyday Astronauts interviews. I've watched the Peter Beck interview. If you haven't done so yet, that is an awesome interview again. Lots of new information on the process of mid-air retrieval of the rockets. Really, really nice. I watch that kind of stuff. And then, of course, all the launches and all that kind of stuff. But the regular binging of Scott Manley and all that kind of stuff is kind of gone because I don't have the time anymore. But I do my own videos now, so that ain't so bad. I've got more super chats. Thank you very much from David. Do you think they will attach some parachutes to the first Starship that will do the belly flop in case the fins break? They want to save the Starship for other tests, or they will just let it fall? I think they will just let it fall. I wouldn't know how to quickly develop a system that actually would save a Starship from just crashing into the ground. It's not that easy. You can't just attach a parachute, because if it's not aerodynamically stable, it'll start spinning like crazy and do funny stuff, and the parachute won't work at all. So it's actually a bit of research to get a system that actually saves a rocket with a parachute or a capsule and doesn't make the problem even worse. So I think we'll see something crash into the ground in Boca Chica if that fails. It's probably going to be, I think they're going to use the same tactic as with the boosters, with the Falcon boosters, bootleg maneuver. Basically, the rocket comes down over the sea and then turns into land as soon as everything's safe and secure. So if anything goes wrong, the rocket will crash into the ocean, most likely. At least that's what I would do. And if you have questions, tag one of the moderators. Don't tag me, because I am reading the chat right now, but I'll soon switch into the moderator feed, because it is much easier for me to pick the questions out of there. So tag the moderators so they can actually pick out the questions for you, and then I think I'll actually do that right now, because they have been very busy catching questions from you. So let me see. I don't have. Okay, let me just go all the way to the top and see if I've missed a question. I've had that. How many hours go into an average episode? Touring Bros is asking that question. Okay. Let me switch the picture for you real quick and go to this one, because there you can see this program. I'll just put it over here. This is Premiere Pro. That is where everything happens after research, scripting, and recording. Everything from there on happens in here. Research is hard to put into numbers because sometimes it's really quick. The Starship updates, for example, are normally rather quick because Mary does such a good job. And by now, I don't want to brag, I know the Starship prototypes pretty well, so I normally just know what's there when I see it, and then I just start typing like crazy, and it takes me 3 to 4 hours to write a whole script normally. And but the research on, especially on topics that are not about Starship, take longer, of course, because I make mistakes. Everybody does, but I want to keep the mistakes to a minimum, regardless of what anybody might say. I have proofreaders even. Aaron, he's moderating right now, is one of the proofreaders, and so. Yeah, that research is really hard to put into numbers. But then the script writing, when everything's researched and everything's done, is about 3 to 4 hours, roughly. Then comes recording. That is really quick because when the script is done, I just have to read off the script or use my notes and put it into words. That takes between 45 minutes and an hour, maybe 1.5 hours if it's really difficult or long, or I just make mistakes, or the kids come up and disturb me or whatever. And after that comes my wife. Actually, she's in the chat right now as well. Let me just real quick. She is in the chat, isn't he? Write something. Are you in the chat? Yeah, she is. Split Second Mom. That's my wife, and she does the rough cut, the so-called rough cut. So this is episode 1, by the way. I just opened this up as a little missing the English word, nostalgia thingy. Is that right? Is that an English word? It would be the correct German term. It's just that is memory right here. This is me on episode 1, and it was. I still remember that day very much. My wife, I did 3 months of preparations before I started the channel because I was afraid. Hands down, I was afraid to sit down in front of the camera. And my wife pushed me that day and said, you should really start recording something if you want to do this. And I said, all right, then. Oh, what the heck? And I just went into the room, turned on the camera, and that's what episode 1 was. And if you want to watch it, I'll always keep it on the channel because it's a precious memory. So I'll always keep it up. If you want to really give this thing to you and watch it, do so. Feel free to do so. But what you can see here is the amount of improvements that went into the channel over these 10 months. This is a rough thing. That is just not even good editing because I didn't honestly really know how to edit with Premiere Pro back then. And this took me 2 days to edit. It is, how long is it? 11 minutes, 56. So it's about average length for an episode still, but it is so much more simple. This part here is my camera recording. This here, that is the camera recording, and it's cut into pieces where I say something and then comes another sentence or the crazy stuff I did in the beginning. That is just awesome. And as you can see, there comes the next cut. There comes a little cut that you can't even see, but it's a little bit twitching there because I maybe had to cough or something, so I cut it out. But really, I didn't really know what to do back then. And here's the Starlink animation that you can see here is this little blog, little element here, and then this is a tweet by Elon back then. I just cut them out. Now I use an animation for that because I think that fits better into the episode. So that is episode 1. And like I said, it is a super simple edit. And now I'm going to show you episode 84. That was the last regular episode that I released on last Thursday, because on Monday I just had the interview, the Zubrin interview part 1, because yeah, It was Easter, and I painted eggs with the kids and had some family time, and so it didn't make a regular episode. But this is what an episode looks like nowadays, and there you can get the idea of how much this has improved. This is just insane. How much work goes into this, and this part here still is the so-called A-roll, the recording from the camera and from the microphone, and that's what my wife cuts. When I'm done with recording, she starts cutting tons of cuts that you can see here, and normally takes her, what is it, 6 hours, 7 hours? Can you confirm that? I think it's 7 hours or something like that. So after researching for at least half a day, at least, it's 3 to 4 hours of scripting, another hour of recording. So we're up to a full day by now. And then comes my wife's cutting. That is another 7 to 8 hours. And then comes my finish. That is everything else that you see. The music, the animations, positioning all the different pictures. Because here, this is recording from the camera. This block here is the video, and this block is the audio. But here, even though it looks similar, there's a video playing. That's this file here, and there's just my audio from the microphone still going, but this block's different. And so everything here, except for the parts where I announce the next news topic, here where we can see me pinch like funny right now. This is camera again, but everything else in here, like this part, is B-roll. Everything on top is B-roll. These here are the lower third animations. That's the SN3 thrust section and the credit. That's these blocks here. Always it's the credit and the text to it. And then here you have one of the new. That's a perfect spot to stop the playback head. This is the Twitter animation that I use nowadays, and I still have to improve it because it's sometimes hard to read, especially in these kind of scenes where the picture in the background is pretty bright, and so I'll have to work on that a little bit more. But I think it's better than just showing the Twitter post just cut out, and then here comes a zoom animation, but you see they are working on the thrust section here, and then zoop, it zooms in, and you can see a detail of them working on the thrust section. And it's actually two different videos, but with the zoom animation, when you just play it, it looks much more fluent than what I used before. I've recently changed this actually. Before I used this little buddy here. That is the distortion animation that does this. You've seen that probably a lot before, and I've recently switched that to this here, which I completely created on my own, and I'm super proud about it. I've done the whole sequence with it splitting up here, and these are mirror effects here to make the picture split up, so you can actually do these zooms with it. As you can see, maybe you can see it here a little bit. Not really. See here, it's mirrored on the outside, and you have to do that to make the zoom actually happen and all that kind of stuff. And then that looks like this. And it's probably not going to be the last transition effect I'm using. I'm constantly trying to improve. This is another interesting part here is this buddy here. I'm going to try to show you the whole thing. That's the whole thing here. That is the Starship diagram, which is going to be replaced rather soon by something awesome. I don't want to say yet, but that's hopefully going to be on tomorrow's episode. So this is the Starship diagram. It has these different components. That the diagram itself, the descriptions, and then comes all the colors and everything comes in, and I of course talk over it. And all of this stuff has to be placed, put into the correct spot, has to be made. First of all, the diagram it's a Photoshop file that I edit and update and so on and so forth. And if you again compare this to episode number 1, there has been a lot of changes over these 10 months. So yeah, that is and then the edit takes that is very, very different. Sometimes it just takes 5-6 hours, sometimes it takes 2 days. It really depends on the topic I'm having. These diagrams, for example, are really work intensive. Even though they look very simple, you have to make every element in Photoshop and put it into Premiere Pro and put it in the right spot and put a fade effect into it and all that kind of stuff. So there's lots of steps until it looks like this. And so the edit is really hard to say. But what I can say is that normally I'm done editing 2 hours before release, and then comes 1.5 hours of export, and then comes a really, really quick upload. 3 days is what I normally have for an episode. But if I want to have 1 day off per week, so that's 2 times 3 days, and those 3 days are normally used for an episode. That's one of the reasons why I don't make longer episodes, because I would love to have this like 25 minutes long. I normally have enough topics to talk about as well, but it's just not possible because the time runs out. In the end, it's always 2 hours before release. I'm done with the edit, and then comes the export, and that's it. Yeah, so that's how long it takes to make an episode. That was a really, really good question. Thank you very, very much. Okay, that was a long answer, but that's what we're here for today. So I do have a Discord. The Aussie developer is asking, do you have a Discord? Probably the patrons, the moderators have already told you. It is a patron and YouTube member exclusive Discord. I do that, to be honest, not just to give a benefit to the patrons and to the YouTube members, but also to keep out trolls, because you get trolls, and with $1 keeps these trolls away, because they don't want to spend that $1 per month. And so the community inside the Discord is really, really nice. Everybody likes to be in there, everybody wants to be in there, and there are all sorts of people in there too, like people who worked on Titan II rockets, and people who are local to Boca Chica or to Florida, and who have updates all the time. So it is really worth it to be on the Discord, but it is $1 per month. So check out the patron page and see if it's something for you, because I always also try to make patron exclusive content, which is hard if it's 3 days per episode, as you might guess, because there's 1 day left where I have time off, and then my wife comes in and says, why are you doing stuff for the patrons? But that's how it is. And so yeah, check it out. If it's something for you, become a patron. I can really, really use the support, of course, because that is a foundation piece of the channel. If I didn't have the patrons, I couldn't do this. I couldn't do this. Like, seriously, it wouldn't be possible. So yeah, there you go. That's your answer. Any updates on your family and how you guys are doing? We're doing great, T260. Thank you very much for the question. Nobody is sick here. I'm living in a very remote area with not that much population around, so the virus isn't really a problem for us here. I don't even know anybody who was infected or is infected. Well, maybe somebody, but it's not really proven if it was corona. So we're not really affected here. And my job is the most home office thing you can get, basically. So I wasn't really infected. No, I wasn't infected either, and not affected. I just came back from the United States. They closed the borders. I just made it out, basically, and then we stayed at home, and I hate it by now. I really would love to do something, but it's the way it is. Everybody's wearing masks here in Germany, and I'm really happy about it, and everybody's staying at home. So, but we're good. Thank you for the question. How old are you? Jimmy Joy, the space boy, is asking, how old are you? Do I really have to say I'm 40? I just turned 40 on March 24th, and it was the most lonely birthday party I've ever had, because nobody showed up because of Corona, of course. But yeah, I just turned 40. That is amazing. That's another record right there. I wanted to do something, but I forgot about it. Let's just continue with questions. What's your favorite rocket? That's a good one. Leon54. What's your favorite? Well, when it comes to reusability, you got to pick SpaceX, and I'm really a big fan of reusability. But for aesthetics, when it just comes to the wow effect, it would be Soyuz for me. That thing is just incredible. I really, really like the way it looks, the way the engines are placed, the way the boosters look and separate. And I'm really a big Soyuz fan. I would love to go to Baikonur and see a Soyuz launch for real. I've even have somebody, a friend of mine, or a colleague of mine actually, he has been to Baikonur, but it's 3,500 euros to do the trip, and you basically sleep on stone and you eat out of opened cans because there is nothing there. But yeah, I think it would still be worth it, and maybe one day I'll do it. And I couldn't take the kids on that trip either because it's in a very, very remote place in Kazakhstan. And so, yeah, it's a rather a difficult trip to make, but I'd love to do that. Yeah, so it's Soyuz. Incredible enough. It's not the space shuttle. I love the space shuttle, but Soyuz is a sci-fi rocket. I love that thing. Mr. Dave, thank you for showing up, and thank you for your question, whatever it is. I haven't even I haven't even written it yet. I haven't read it yet. I haven't read it yet. There you go. Hey Felix, greetings from Florida. Yeah, thanks for showing up, Dave. If you got the time, maybe make another round of pictures from Blue Origin. Everybody's asking for Blue Origin progress, and but I guess they just continued building the facility right now. They're very, very secretive. Mr. Dave is the guy who always gives me the pictures from Blue Origin and from Roberts Road when there still was something going on there, but that is barren right now. There's nothing going on there. But yeah, that's another contributor. That's a contributor. That's what I always say if I didn't have all these people helping, it would be much more difficult to do this. So thank you for the support. Thank you for helping. If you've ever done anything for the episode, feel the pat on your back. That is just awesome. Thank you. Blue skies. What is your prediction for the power supplies for Starship? If you mean for takeoff and landing, it's probably going to just be the Tesla batteries. For trip to Mars, I've actually done an episode about that. Look into the space news playlist. I think I've on one of the episodes I had it. I think the thumbnail was nuclear Starship ? So I have researched there, but I think. Yeah, I didn't really come to a conclusion. I mean, Elon wants to use solar energy on Mars to do in situ resource utilization and produce propellant. So he'll need a ton of solar power on Mars. And if he takes so much solar power with him, it would be a typical thing for SpaceX and for Elon to use what you got. And if the Starship is completely filled up with solar panels, maybe they'll make them deployable in space. But other than that, I really don't know. It could be just the standard solutions, but that wouldn't be SpaceX. And nuclear power will be really hard to get for SpaceX because it is hard for them to get any material that they need because they are a private company. And yeah, Stirling engine maybe. It's hard to say, but I think the whole idea with the solar panels, when the whole Starship's filled up with solar panels, why not use them on the way? So that could be something, but we'll have to wait and see. It's really too early to say right now. But look into the episode. I explored a lot of different ways in there. Steve Russ, what do you think? How many serial numbers will it take before the real thing will reach orbit? Will it be serial number 6, serial number 9, serial number 15, 28? I can't tell. I don't know. I really hope it's going to be serial number 4, which is not going to be the case. If we can be lucky if serial number 4 finally does the static fire and the 150-meter hop. After that comes the 20-kilometer hop, and after that, in theory, should come the orbital flight. And Musk is still saying that it's going to happen this year. And if it's going to happen this year, it's going to be a rather lower number. But we all know the cryogenic tests, and they make us cry every time. So it's really hard to say. 8, 9, 10, something like that. Maybe in the single digits, more likely in the double digits. I really can't say though. It is really hard to say. If they have it figured out, it's going to be really fast. If they have it finally so that the welds don't bust anymore and that they don't crush the Starship because they load the tanks in the wrong way and all that kind of stuff. Once they have that figured out, it's going to be quick. But we're not at that point yet. Maybe we are with serial number 4 though. So we'll have to wait and see. It's really hard to say. I hope it's going to be in the single digits. That would be really, really cool. David Slutke, gave me a super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the super chat, for the support. That is much appreciated because I don't earn anything on these live streams. Because monetization kind of doesn't work on my live streams. I don't know why, but YouTube always gets me into this is not monetized. Let me just check this real quick. Oh, you can even see it here. There you go. That is the back end of YouTube, by the way. See, there you go. Up, it's limited, and I don't know why it does that. I honestly don't know. And then I can say that they should check it, but I can't even click it right now. See? Yeah, I don't know. It always happens. So if you want to give me a super chat, that's how I earn money today. Otherwise, there is no money for me on live stream. It's always like that, and I don't know why. If anybody has in diesem Video werden eingeschränkte oder keine Anzeigen aus. Yeah, okay, yeah. So it says there's not going to be any monetization on my live stream. It's always like that, and I don't know why. If you have any solution for me, please shoot it at one of my moderators so they can tell me afterwards, because this is really strange, but it's always like that. So there we go. So this is the back end, by the way, if you want to have a look at this. This is all the videos and all the analytics and comments and subtitles that I normally never look into, and this is copyright and all that kind of stuff, where I can actually see if somebody copies my videos, and somebody uploaded my episodes on his own channel. That was pretty fun, but that's how it is. It's all quiet now though. There's the streaming cat. So, and yeah, get back to Premiere Pro here. There we go. All right, and my son is really upset about something. I hope you don't hear that in the background. He's really upset about something. Andrew Parker, do you think that the site in Cocoa, Florida will end up starting production again, or that the site is basically dead? I talked to one of the... Oh, that's kind of loud. I'm sorry. I talked to one of the security guys in Cocoa, at the Cocoa site. I went there and I filmed, and he approached me, and I was like, oh my God. But he actually said, I know you, and I watch your videos. And that was the coolest thing ever, that this SpaceX security guy knew my channel. And he said that it might happen, but he couldn't say anything else. And I'm pretty sure he couldn't say anything else because he didn't want to lose his job, of course. But there was nothing going on. It still looks like half a year ago. The road that they wanted to build down next to the FedEx grounds to connect the construction site with any meaningful road didn't happen. It's not built. So they're building octagrabbers there right now for, of course, I Still Love You, to fix to fix Falcon boosters to the deck of the ship. That's what they did there, I think. But it's really hard to say. Yeah, it's really hard to say. There's zero progress. That's all that's known. And they have Roberts Road, which would be much better suited for building starships. There is no infrastructure at the Cocoa site anyway. They just have that high bay tent and one building, but they could really easily build that again at Roberts Road, and Roberts Road would be much easier for transporting the Starship over to Pad 39A. So my logical approach, if I were SpaceX, would be to continue at Roberts Road as soon as I want to build starships in Florida. So I think it's unlikely that there's something going to happen with the Cocoa site again. Unfortunately, because it was really nice to have two Starship sites to look at, to have progress at two sites. I love that, but it makes sense that they shut it down for the time being. Andrew Parker. Okay, we have question from Lucas. When did you get into rockets and space? Is it an interest since you were small, or a recent thing? It was when I was 4 years old or so. I was so young that I can't remember anymore. One of my earliest memories about space is watching the starships, the space shuttles launch. I remember that from when I was like 6 years old or something like that, and I remember being glued to the TV screen because I loved what I saw. And then later on, I became a huge sci-fi fan. And after after a while, sci-fi wasn't enough anymore, and so I really dug into what actually is the realistic way of doing space travel, and what's to know, and from there on, yeah. I'm a space nerd, that's for sure. I'm also into astronomy. I have a. If the wait a second, I'll give you another smartphone cam. There we go. And as long as the battery is still there. So this is the set that you know. That is, and there's that is something you normally don't see. Give me a second. This is the. I'm just gonna try to talk into the microphone here. That's the other side of the room. That is where the set starts, and this is where the set ends. So that is what the rest, and the poor plants are suffering because I'm working so much. Actually, I'm a plant guy. I love plants, but I forgot to water them, and now they look pretty miserable. I gave them water recently though, so they're not suffering right now. And this is how it continues forward further. This is the kind of always messy desk. Right now it's a bit more messy because the camera is right in the middle there. That is my camera that I actually make my videos with. It's a Sony Alpha 7 II, and it's a really, really good camera, but it doesn't do 4K, and that's what I don't like about it. But we'll get that at one point. I'll have enough money to get a 4K camera, and then that's a keyboard. That's the rendering beast under the desk here. Is it's all built just for rendering. It's got 12 CPU cores, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and a GTX 1080, because that is not really important for rendering. Not as important as you might think. It's just for effects, and for that a 1080 is just fine actually. It would be faster with a 2080, and I might be getting one. I have a patron goal out for a new graphics card, but I actually don't know if I'm gonna change that goal again, because I would have more important stuff. All right, then these are some soft light boxes here that that is. I'm getting quiet here for a second because I'm gonna show you the light, but I have to move away from the microphone. So this is what if I speak really loud, you're probably still gonna hear me. So this is what a softbox light looks like. You can adjust the color temperature here on the back, if you can see that. Yep, there you go. So you can adjust the brightness and the color temperature. I hope you can still hear me, but you should be able to. And there's another softbox light there. These are really, really cheap, by the way. If you're thinking about making your own YouTube channel, these things, both of them, cost me 120 euros, and it's almost as cheap as the DIY solution. So that's the telescope there. That was the question about how I got into space. This is a Bresser Messier NT 150, I think. It's got a go-to mount, and it is a really, really nice telescope. I just NT150L, it says it up there exactly. And but I don't really have the time to use it right now. Yeah, the YouTube channel definitely takes a lot of time out of your life, that is for sure. But it's a lot of fun. I have a little bit of audio proofing up here on the ceiling to make the audio a little bit better, but it is not done yet. I should put more up there, but I'm always busy making episodes. And yeah, and that's the set. There's a lot of stuff on the set. I'll give you a quick rundown of the shelf, because you probably haven't seen that yet in detail. So this is, for example, this magazine there. Somebody gave me that, and it is from 1969. It was released right after the moon landing, of course. And this is the kind of stuff that people just send me because they appreciate the channel so much, and that is just ridiculous. I love this. This is from Louis Padre. Gave me this. Is a commemorative coin of the Starhopper hop, and I treasure this. This is so cool. This is almost as good as, or actually in my opinion it is as good as something from the Apollo era, because this is gonna be history. And this is a really nice coin. He gave me this one. I'm gonna put it back. And this stone here, I took this from my trip to Florida. This is from Pad 34. I don't know if I was allowed to take it. I just grabbed it and put it into my pocket. And this is from Pad 34. I put that up here. This is from a supporter. He gave me that. This is a Super Draco engine, 3D printed. Somebody gave me that. This is a cup from the Solar Orbiter. social media event. That was really, really awesome. And all sorts of stuff. But yeah, the Texas flag, that was on one of my meetups. And actually, nobody's seen this yet, but besides the people who went to the meetup, everybody signed on it. You see this? Everybody who was there that evening signed on this, and that is really, really nice. I'm gonna treasure this, and that's why I put it up into the set. I really, really hope that the microphone is picking up my voice, because I didn't look into the chat if you actually heard what I said, but it should be rather good. Could somebody tell me if you actually heard my voice when I was standing over there? Because I don't know. There we go. There we go. So yeah, that is the set. Oh wait, actually I can, if I'm at this, give me a second. I'm gonna show you the rest of the room real quick as well, but I'm gonna get even more silent. So this is this Parabon here. I stole that from my wife. I just put that there for additional soundproofing. So normally, that's not here. And this is the rest of the room. There's just a couch there, and you can see me in the window over there. And I always have all the windows closed. There's a window here with curtains, and there's a window there, and the window over there. And I always have these closed when I'm recording or when I'm doing live streams, because artificial light is much better. You can control it much better. So I always close all the windows. Actually, outside it's bright daylight still, I think, yeah, or at least somewhat. So, but I always close these. And there's the couch and the printer, and that's basically it. And that's the studio. That's where everything happens. I started in a different room, actually. The first room I did this in on episode 1 up to, I think, episode 20 or something. That was a different room. There we go. All right, there's your tour of the studio. And yeah, there you see the set that you normally see. I have the camera positioned on live streams roughly in the same way, because switching to this again, this is the stand that I normally use when I record. I put this here, and the camera would be on top of it, of course. Let's just reproduce what it looks like when I record. I have my trusty NASA laptop here, and I put that here in front of the camera. Hope you're not puking yet, because I'm shaking the camera so much. So the camera would sit on top of this, and then I'm sitting here in the back, and that is what I see when I record. You see this, and I see this. That is, wait, there you go. No, wait, what is it doing? There you go. That's what I see when I record. And then I have the laptop here, and there's normally the script is on the display, and so what is this thing doing? There we go. And so I read parts of the script from here when I'm looking into the camera. Of course, I don't read from there, so I speak freely. And then when there's parts where I know that there's gonna be B-roll, I read script from this little from this little laptop here. And yeah, that's what it looks like. Let me just put this back real quick. And there's camera equipment everywhere. Over there's cameras sitting there, and there's camera equipment on the ground. There's a Rode mic in this thing, and so this is the microphone that I use, actually. That could be kind of interesting as well. That is this little lavalier microphone that you normally see about here. Hello, camera. A little bit more down there. There is where it attaches, and it's wireless. So the receiver actually is there on the Focusrite preamp for the microphone, and it's not that much equipment needed, though. I started with much less, and I improved from there. So there we go. I still don't know if you heard what I said, but I hope you did. Looks like it. Yeah, you did. Okay, so that's the studio. If you've got any more questions about production, about what I started with, about what to do, if you want to start your own channel, maybe stuff like that, yeah, thank you, Miko. It's the problem is that the microphone that you saw in front of me here, that this is really useful that I can just take this camera. The Rode microphone was a patron goal, actually, that I spend all the patron money on equipment. The camera is patron money, the microphone and the Focusrite preamp here is patron money. That's all patron money. And so the Rode mic has a focus, even has a little LED in there showing you that it has a focus into this direction. And so if I move around, it of course is much worse than having a lavalier microphone. But it's better for streams, for live streams, because then I don't have to have the microphone in front of me or on my here. And this thing has battery life, and the Rode mic doesn't, so there's a lot of improvements to use this kind of microphone instead of the lavalier for the live stream. So that's my trusty live stream microphone. Love that thing. Thank you, patrons. Okay. Lucas, when did you get into space and rockets? Okay, we had that. Night Fox gave me another super chat. Thank you very, very much. Yep, as many Googled in chat. Congrats on 50k subs. Thank you. Crazy Johnson boy, space, another space nut, that's the tag. What's your guess as to any delays in Boca Chica due to a certain virus, a certain illness, actually? I hope none. It looks like none right now. When I first heard that Cameron County is shutting down, I was like, oh my god, and I released my oh my god episode, and that was, many said that it was clickbaity, but actually I was kind of convinced that they'd have to shut down. I had it on the episode that it could be that it is essential business and that they might be still open in the future, which turned out to be correct, and I'm really happy about that. But so far there is not that much delay due to Corona in Boca Chica, which is a good thing. But on the other hand, of course, SpaceX, if anybody from SpaceX listens to this, watches this, your workers are the most important thing you have in Boca Chica. Keep them safe, and do whatever you need to do to make a safe work environment for them. That is very, very important. But so far, it seems to work. Fingers crossed. TLI 72. Weren't you the guy who's only yeah, there you go. I'm 13, exactly. Amazing for that you're watching this at the age of 13. Thank you very much for showing up. I always love if younger people watch my content, because actually I can show you that too. Give me a second. The statistics sadly say that the younger generation is totally not interested in space content, which is crazy in my opinion. It should be different, but it is the way it is. Gotta switch the scene. There you go. This is my demographics, and you can see it's all German, but I'll translate. This is the gender. It's 2.6% female and 97.3% male. So there you go. That's a statement. This is users without a subscription and users with a subscription watching my stuff. This is all from the last 28 days, by the way. And this is the age demographic here. And as you can see, TLI 72, you're in the 1.1% bracket, which is awesome. Thank you very much for showing up. Thank you for showing interest. If you know anybody else at that age, try to get them into space content. It is really, really interesting, and I totally don't know why nobody at your age seems to be watching this kind of stuff. It is. I also think that astronomy should be a class in ground and middle school, not just at in college or at the university or whatever. That is everything that surrounds us, and nobody teaches about it except for how many planets do we have, and the sun is in the middle. I think that is ridiculous, and that should be changed. If any teachers watch this, keep that in mind, that you're just leaving out like 99.9% of the rest of the universe in your classes, and you should definitely get astronomy in, so to avoid this kind of stuff. This is not good. So again, thank you for showing up and showing interest. And as you can see, For the rest, this is the typical picture. It's the 25 to 34 is the biggest bracket, and then there's a surprising amount of older people, which I always appreciate as well. I've had so many interesting talks with people who were beyond 70 already, who had so much to say, who saw the Apollo program live back then. Awesome. So I appreciate all of these, and I hate that this is just such a small number. This should be different. And then you can see the countries. The United States, of course, is the majority because SpaceX is from the United States, so the interest is very, very large up there. And then comes the United Kingdom, which is awesome in my opinion. And then comes Australia is 4.6%, which is amazing in my opinion because it's so far away and so remote, and still there's so many people being interested in what's happening on the other side of the planet. So that is really cool. Lots of Germans, which I like because I do everything in English, and even though there's lots of Germans in there, I love. And Canada, of course, Canada, everybody loves Canada. And then there's the subtitles, and if I had more time, I would release subtitles. There's always just the auto-generated subtitles in English, and those are rather bad, but that's how it is. I don't have the time, I'm sorry. All right. There we go. David Henney. Any update on moving to the United States, Felix? Yes, Corona. Everything's on hold right now. The next thing we're going to do is go to the German consulate to actually see what we'll have to do. I have big trouble getting US credit scores because I need a US credit card for that, and that seems to be impossible for a German to get a US credit card, so I'll only be able to build up credit score once I live there, which is a bad thing for any American will probably know that it's a bad thing to have no credit score. We don't even use credit score in Germany. In Germany, it's just a bank will look into the last 2 years that you've what you've earned, and then accordingly they'll give you credit for any bigger purchases. There is something called Schufa, but that only registers really bad offendings, like when you got to go in front of a judge because you couldn't pay anything anymore, when you're bankrupt or anything like that's in there, but nothing else. It's not. We don't have that credit score system. So if anybody has some useful information on how to get a credit card when you don't have a social security number, when you don't have a, well, actually I could provide a permanent address in the United States because I have a sister over there and she already agreed that she would be willing to do that, but I'm missing everything. I don't have any tax number or anything, and so I can't get a US credit card, which is amazing. But short rant. We're still planning to go to Florida, and I think it's a 90% chance that we will do it. We're still figuring stuff out. And we don't know how long that's going to take, and we hope we'll find the right solutions. And if we do, we're going to move to Florida, and we're both the whole family is looking forward to it because Florida is a lovely place, and I know the United States anyway because I've been there many times, and I would love it. It would be a really cool adventure. Thanks for the question. Warhawk, when will the Starlink 6 launch? You're probably trying to say. Isn't it April 23rd? As of yesterday, they shifted it from the 16th to the 23rd. I think Sammy had a tweet about that, but he's not here because he's Australian and he's asleep. But I think it was 23rd. Everybody else is probably going to be quicker than me, but I'm still going to look because I'm interested to see. And it's not loading the Twitter page. There you go. 16th was the old, 23rd. There you go. April 23rd. And I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm definitely going to do a live stream. If it's going to happen on the 23rd, mark it on your calendar. There's definitely going to be a launch live stream from me. I'm so hungry for another SpaceX launch right now. It's ridiculous. Okay. Abno Creations asking, do you think they will have many Starships ready to go by the time for belly flopping? They might be fast at producing them. Yes, tomorrow's episode is actually about that. They're down to a little bit more than a week for a complete tank section, and the fairing section actually doesn't have that much work to it besides the canard fins those are the fins all the way on top. They need a little bit of work, but the most work is in the tank section and in the engine section, in the thrust section. So maybe every 2 weeks they could, in theory, build a whole Starship. If they know what they're doing, they could do that by now. And so yeah, it's really hard to say, and we've got a lot to look forward this year. This is gonna be an amazing year when it comes to Starship. So stay tuned, watch the episodes, and be amazed. It's really hard to say though what's actually gonna happen, because as we've seen with serial number 3, where I was already releasing episodes looking forward to the static fire, and then we all know what happened. So it's hard to say. It's prototype phase. So I won't make any guesses, but I hope it's going to be orbital by the end of the year. More likely, though, beginning to maybe mid next year. It's really, really hard to say. Anything that happens, though, is something good that happens, which I also said on like 2 episodes back or something. I said that, and I mean that. Even a failure is a good thing, because then they know what they did wrong, and that is what prototype phase is about. So yeah, we're going forward, that's for sure. Thanks for the question. Lucas, when did you get into, okay, we had that. Blue skies, what is your prediction for the power supplies? We had that too. We have double questions. I've also already answered that. What if, Ken is asking, what if after they did the skydive thing and it is too violent for humans to be in? It should be too violent for humans to be in. You mean the swing over, right? Looks dramatic, but it shouldn't be that much G's. Maybe 2, maybe 3, something like that. But a human, especially an astronaut or somebody who is trained in that kind of stuff, can take a lot more. And even a normal person, even a payload specialist, somebody who actually, I mean, they are astronauts, but they don't train the same way that a commander does, or the way that the Apollo astronauts did. And even they can easily take more than 2 to 3 Gs. And I think that it shouldn't be more than that. And I'm pretty sure also that SpaceX will be, that is something really easy to be calculated. How much G-force you'll have inside the Starship when it does this or this maneuver. And they wouldn't be suggesting these belly flop maneuvers if it wasn't possible for humans inside to survive this maneuver or to stay in any good condition. So I'm thinking it's not going to be a big problem. Otherwise, they wouldn't design it like this. And if it is turning out to be a big problem, they'll have to change it, because starships are going to transport humans, and if they can only bring them up to Mars and can't bring them back down to Earth, it's kind of not the thing they want. So it better work, but I think SpaceX knows how much G-force they'll have to endure on these kinds of maneuvers. Where did you get Dan Nero is asking, where did you get the Starship model from? It is from Spaceship Mania. I hope I got that right. That's another fan gift from somebody who does 3D prints. Maybe the moderators could put out a link if anybody has one, because the guy deserves it. I don't know if he's selling the Starship models right now, but that Starship model is a really cool thing. I'll bring it up to the camera real quick. And I have much more stuff here. Actually, I have three grid fins. I have to speak a little bit louder. I bring this one because the guy who gave me this is on the chat right now. Thank you, Mike. This is the grid fin he sent me. That Warhawk, he's one of the moderators, is a really, really nice detailed grid fin. So ask him if you want to have a really good 3D printed grid fin wherever he got it. This thing is awesome. It is really, really well done. It is very, I mean, you see the typical 3D printer lines, but it is a really, really detailed version of a grid fin. Really, really nice. Thank you, Mike. And this is the Starship, and I think it was from Spaceship Mania. I hope I get that right now. So this is the Starship itself. And the nice thing about it is you can even take it apart, and you have the engines down here. If the camera focuses a little bit better, you might be able to see these, but it really doesn't want to. There you go. Yeah, get it in focus. Come on. Oh, well, that's good enough. That is so it's got all the engines, and it even got the cargo trunks here, um, and this is the booster, which of course has the engines as well. I think it's even the correct amount. I didn't count them though, and yeah, with grid fins on top here, it's really doing a bad job focusing. There you go. Yep, there you go. So that's the Starship model, and that is an awesome gift. I really love that thing. So you can just put it together like this and then place it in the set, and that's what I did. And then I have this. Oh, this thing here was another gift from the company that actually makes these globes, and they sponsored it for the studio for a little shout, which I did. It wasn't a commercial though. I have to say that. And it's a really, really nice Mars globe. And so most of the stuff actually that is on the set is some sort of gift from somebody. It's amazing. Thank you very much to everybody who sent me a gift. It is much appreciated. And every time I get one of these packages, I'm like a little child opening it up and being really, really happy that you guys send me all this kind of stuff. It is really, really cool. Thank you very, very much. Okay. So that's the Starship. Franz Wingard. That looks Scandinavian. Franz Wingard. All right. What does Felix day look like? When do you wake up? When do you go to work? Take the kids to school? Well, right now, obviously not, because all the schools and the kindergartens are closed. I am a creative person. I had to get up in the early in the morning on all my jobs before, and I hated it. I'm one of these people that I have my boost phases sometimes at 9 in the evening when I get the best ideas and when I'm the most productive. And I never could do this on my regular jobs that I had before. I was a sales rep in the field selling stuff to people. I was pretty successful with it, but it wasn't my thing to do, not for the rest of my life. I'm creative. My mother was an author, and so what I wanted to say is that normally I get up around 9 in the morning, which is probably going to sound really lazy, but then comes 10 hours of work, basically. So it's so much that my wife normally taps me on the shoulder and says, could you come down to eat? Or it's enough for today, just come down and spend some time with us. So even though I get up late, I work a lot in the day. And on crazy edit days, I call them like that, especially when something goes wrong with recording or something, or SpaceX has these crazy days where they do like progress of 4 days in one day, and it's the day of release, and I want to have that on the episode. I'll have to re-script and re-record at least the part that I want to have in there that wasn't in the original script from 2 days ago. So and those are the days when I sometimes even don't eat. So my days are busy, but I love it. And it's a hell of a ride. It's making this YouTube channel, and especially seeing it grow so quickly, it's an incredible experience to have. And I thank everybody who supports this, and I thank you for watching and for showing up today, seeing me brabble about what I've done in the last 10 months. Thank you very, very much. Good question. What's my day like? Lots of work. Guinea V is asking, do you do this full-time now? And if so, what did you do before? Okay, I just answered that. It's full-time, and before I was a sales rep. I also worked for an insurance company before. I worked for radio stations and TV stations as an audio engineer, but the problem is that that's always, or most of the time, it's freelancing work. And when the family came, freelancing does not go with kids. You have to have secure income, and so I started going into sales rep and security companies, insurance companies and all that kind of stuff, because it gives a much better or more stable income. And so I completely quit the creative work, and I hated it until I started the YouTube channel. That's why I started the YouTube channel. And I actually I did it from the beginning as a full-time thing. I never switched to becoming full-time, which most YouTubers do. I just said I can do this. I totally didn't know if I could, but I wanted to so much. And that's why I was a full-time YouTuber from the beginning on. Even when I didn't earn anything with it, I was still working full-time on it from episode 1 on. And it's incredible that it worked out. Thank you again so much for watching my episodes, for liking the content. This is a dream come true, and you're making me smile every day when I get up, basically, for just by subscribing, liking, and watching my videos. That's all I need. Thank you. Let me drink something real quick. Okay. Crazy Johnson boy, how many episodes are we up to? We're gonna release episode 85, but we also have 6 in-depth episodes. That makes it 91, and we have loads of exclusive content for the patrons, which is probably gonna bring it over 100. I know my Social Blade account, if you know that, socialblade.com is where you can get some insights into YouTube channels. It's pretty interesting. Even if you don't have your own YouTube channel, you can basically Google your favorite YouTube channel and see what the stats are, how many subscribers they get, for how long they've been there, and all that kind of stuff. And it says I have 100 uploads, but my YouTube account says I have 150 uploads, so I'm not too sure which one's correct, but it should be approaching 100 by now, that's for sure. Yeah, 85 episodes and lots of other stuff, basically. Even some videos of me flying my paramotor. I'm ultralight pilot. I love flying. I don't have the time for that anymore right now, but I will be flying again. I hope so, at least. And there's even videos of that on the YouTube channel. I never deleted them. They're all the way, you have to dig a lot to see them, but they're still there. So if you're interested. Okay, we have Cameron Chapel. Do you have any idea about what the interior living space will look like in Starships? Any renderings? Thank you. There are a lot of renderings out there. Even one of them is on my Discord. Give me a second. At least one of the artists who make these kind of renders is on my Discord. Michel Lamontagne, exactly. His family is from France. That's why Lamontagne. And he, I think, has also done interior renderings, but they are all guessing game right now. That's the problem, is there is no official information on that, or at least just very rudimentary, like from the slides from the Starship presentation, but those, I wouldn't count on them being anything like the real thing. That was just placeholding to show what in theory could be in there. There's going to be a solar shelter, and there's probably going to be crew cabins, and there's probably going to be the viewing gallery, where Musk always reassures everybody that he still wants that window on top and everything, but who knows? It is really, really hard to say. So what they'll need, I can tell you what they'll need. They'll need a place to sleep. They'll need a place to eat. They'll need a machine to make them breathable air. They'll need some radiation protection, especially for solar storms, because that is a real danger in space. And they're going to be there for at least 3 months. And if you're... the point is that our sun goes through a cycle of 5 years of inactivity, or you have it's a 10-year cycle, and in the middle you have a spot where the sun is really, really inactive. We are around about that right now. If you look at the sun, there are no sunspots right there. It is super boring to look at the sun right now, for astronomers at least, because there's nothing going on. And in another 5 years it'll be really active, but you can't wait 5 years for a Starship to launch. You have to, if you want to colonize Mars, you'll have to send them every 2 years. Whenever the window comes up, you'll have to send the Starships, no matter if there's a solar eruption or not. You can't wait. It's a 3-month journey, so they'll have to have a solar shelter or of some sort. They'll have to have a storage area, a rather big one. But that's it. What that's gonna look like is impossible to say right now. The only thing we can say kind of for certain is that the window is going to be in there, because I think Musk will try to make it happen. He's going to try to move anything to make that happen, because it's his little baby. That window, he really likes the window, and I've got to say I understand why, because that is just epic. No matter if it's useful or not, if it can be done safely, do it. That would be awesome. But everything else on the interior right now, there are no facts. It is all speculation right now. But if you Google it, you'll find the interior renderings, but they're all a guessing game right now. But good question still. Thank you very much. All right, I'll have to open this up again. There we go. Would you go to live on Mars? Keith Morwood is asking, if given the opportunity, would you go live on Mars? No. Had that question many times before. I've got 3 kids and a wife. Couldn't do it. I wouldn't want to leave them here. I wouldn't want to take them there, because it's really, it's the first 2, 3, 4 generations are going to have a tough time on Mars, no matter how much effort we take. It's going to be a tough living on Mars, definitely. And their life expectancy is likely to be lower than here on Earth. And so I wouldn't take my kids. If they want to go on their own when they're 25 or so, go ahead. But I wouldn't take them while they're kids. And I'm already 40, and my youngest son is 2.5. So I'll be 58 by the time he is able to get a driver's license. or yeah, exactly. So I might already be too old by then, but I'd love to go to the moon. Whenever that comes up with, do you want to live on Mars, I'm always ending the question with that, because the moon is epic enough in my opinion. Of course, Mars is great, but it takes a lot of time to get there. You'll be there for 2 years. You'll miss everybody. Why not go to the moon? It takes 2 weeks, and it's, I mean, imagine standing in a crater on the moon. Ugh. Right? So and you can jump on the moon. That is pretty cool. So I'd go to the moon. It's easier. It's probably going to be the same, if even not a better experience, because you can also see the Earth in the sky in big. On Mars, the Earth is just another star. It's very small, so you can just see Mars. On the moon, you can see the moon and the Earth, and so on and so forth. It is much easier to do. I think it's going to be about the same amount of fun for somebody who just wants to go there and not be scientific about it and doesn't want to do a mission, just wants to spend time there. The moon's the perfect solution, in my opinion. That's why I hated that NASA actually said that the moon's not critical anymore on the path to Mars. It makes sense, it is true, but I'd love to go to the moon. So build that moon base and maybe put a little hotel next to it and make it really cheap. Well, okay, forget it. But yeah, the moon would be awesome. If I get the chance, I'd definitely go there. And I'm really slow on answering these questions. I'm sorry, there are so many. Thank you for all the questions. Why you don't space out your video and B-roll? What do you mean? The Physico one. What do you mean? I'm gonna bring up Premiere here again. What do you mean with spacing it out? I space out my audio a little bit to make it not that fast, because I'm a really fast speaker and you wouldn't be able to listen to this. But everything else I can't. I mean, oh, you mean total length of the episodes maybe? So to make it like 25 minutes? Well. The problem is, I actually thought about that. The problem is, though, that if I don't say anything for 30 seconds and just show a tank section moving around in Boca Chica, I'm doing the same thing NASA Spaceflight is doing. And they're doing an awesome job, and I don't want to take any viewers from that. Their channel is racing, and there's a reason they are doing this. Like every day, I think they're releasing a video plus pictures from Mary. They are doing an awesome job giving you the no comment version, and I'm the comment version, and so that's what I do, and that's what I love doing. And so it's always I didn't even switch to the right. I was looking at Premiere Pro and I didn't even show it. There you go. That's what I wanted to show. So I space out the audio just a little bit to make it actually easier for the listener. But that's all I want to do basically. I don't want to copy NASA Spaceflight. I have my own concept, and that's what that is. And here's the famous unused bloopers in the back that nobody ever sees, because this that's funny. I should definitely, for at least for the patrons, I should do an episode with only bloopers, because I always have more than these are the bloopers that I used, and these are the ones that I didn't use. And I think it should be rather fun to make an episode where you see lots of bloopers. Maybe I'm gonna do that. If I find the time, I'm probably gonna do that for the patrons. That's a really cool idea. Okay, totally derailed the question. I don't really know what you mean though. If it was the total length of the episode, it wouldn't really make any sense for me to not talk for 30 seconds just to show more tank sections moving around. That's not the reason for the episodes. The reason is to convey as much information as possible in 15 minutes. So there you go. Um, Tam Hewitt Baker, a huge well done on the success of your channel. Thank you for the hard work. Thank you very much for the compliment and for the motivational words. That is, I'm even though I try to answer a lot of comments on my episodes. I normally can't answer them all, of course, because there are just too many by now. And which, by the way, was a funny experience because in the beginning I made sure to answer every comment I got, and at some point I realized that I couldn't do that anymore, which was kind of strange to me. Even though I read a lot of them, more than I answer and more than I give hearts for. So if you comment something under my videos, there's a high chance that I'm reading it, like 85% that I'm actually reading your comment, not just skipping through and looking for longer ones or something. I normally read them all, or at least 85% about. And so all those motivational words that people post under my episodes help a lot. I normally that's there was the question what my day looks like earlier, and one part of my day normally is when I go to bed. I take out my smartphone and I read through comments, and I normally smile a lot while reading them. So thank you very much for all the motivational comments that you do, and the tons of interesting discussions in there. Sometimes there are comments that are like this long, and I read through those as well, of course. And it's amazing how many interesting people are surrounding this channel by now. So there's an extra answer. The Aussie developer. Do you think Australia will launch more things into space? I hope so. There is something planned. I haven't researched into it yet, even though my Australian patrons have said that quite a bit by now, and I really hope that Australia is going to do more. And every country that joins the effort gives a little puzzle piece into the whole thing. Basically, it can't be done by one country. I can totally understand why American citizens are so proud of their space program, because it is awesome. What you guys have done, hands down, nobody does come close to that. But if you look at the whole picture, even though the United States part is the biggest, in my opinion, if the other parts were missing, none of it would have happened. If the Germans wouldn't have helped designing the Saturn V, doing the groundbreaking research, if the Russians wouldn't have helped build the ISS, if Europe wouldn't have sent so many scientific probes into the solar system, and so on and so forth. And so if Australia joins that club, they're going to do their part in the bigger picture. So any country that joins this is a good country. So I'm crossing my fingers that Australia is going to actually do it and build a space agency and get something going. That would be awesome. Good question. Thank you. Barnabas Fodor. What is your opinion on Starship's lack of radiation protection and artificial gravity? Like I said before, I had that on an episode, and lack of radiation protection. There is not that much known, first of all, about the radiation protection that the Starships are going to have, and they are going to have a solar storm shelter. Musk and SpaceX have confirmed that many times. So there is radiation protection, and the conclusion I came to on the episode where I researched Death in Space Part 1 and 2. Part 1 was about the reasons why we could die in space, and Part 2 was about the things we could do against that. And the conclusion I came to is that radiation actually isn't the worst thing in space. It can be really dangerous, but if it's at a normal level without solar storms, it is bearable. It's not good, it's not healthy, and you shouldn't do it for long, but a 3-month trip is not going to kill you, and it's not going to seriously endanger you. If you're smoking, you're going to get much more DNA changes from radiation through the cigarette smoke, for example, than an astronaut does in a whole year on the ISS, and so on and so forth. So radiation isn't the biggest problem. In my opinion, gravity is the biggest problem. Not even on the trip to Mars, but on Mars. Mars has a very low gravity, and the colonists arriving on Mars will first of all be weakened by the journey itself, where though they got really good at counter fighting against the low gravity in space on the ISS, because they changed the training machines, the treadmills they have on the ISS. They changed them a lot in recent years, and they became really, really good at working against the low gravity. So the 3 month in space will be, again, it's not healthy, but it's doable. But what do you do on Mars? You have 30% gravity on Mars. I'm not too sure of the top of my head, but it's far less than on Earth. And if you want to live there permanently, you'll have to endure that for 50 years plus. And that's where the problems come in. So I think the flight to Mars is not the most dangerous part about colonizing Mars. That's what I normally say about that. And that's why I wouldn't get my kids there, and that's why I would want to go to the moon instead of Mars, even though Mars is beautiful. And I love the high-rise, especially the 3D animated pictures you can get from the high-rise camera. It's mind-blowingly beautiful. Mars is like one giant Death Valley. It's awesome to see, but it is not. It's not. Death Valley is a really nice place compared to Mars. So they'll have to work on that much more than on radiation protection on the way there. That's just my opinion, of course, and there are millions of different opinions, but. Yeah, there you go. That's your answer. Good question. Thank you. Andreas Holly. How many times can the technology fail before SpaceX stops the program? I hope it never comes to that. Just a modest question. If you look at okay, how to word this? If you look at the Starship prototype program, how it is right now, don't compare it to ULA, don't compare it to Boeing, don't compare it to Blue Origin or any of the others developing rockets. Compare it to what NASA did in the 1960s and in the late 1950s. You'll see the same kind of prototypes blowing up every week. There was one year in the 1960s where they had over 140 launches out of Cape Canaveral. That's why, because they were testing everything. They had to, because they didn't know what they were doing. And that's the same thing with the Starship. It is not a traditional rocket. In most cases, it really isn't. Even the engine is a concept that hasn't been used commercially yet, that hasn't, the Starhopper was the first flight of a full flow stage combustion engine in human history. And so on and so forth. The canards, the way they build it is all different, and they don't want this to be a traditional rocket because they have different goals. If you build a traditional rocket, it's going to be too expensive. It's going to take too much time. Even if you're really quick, a Falcon booster takes too long. I had that on an episode as well. It would take them over 100 years to build 1,000 Starships if they would build them like Falcon 9 rockets. It doesn't work like that. If you want to colonize Mars, you need a different rocket. You need a different approach, and that's what they're doing, and that's what causes a lot of blowing up. And so don't be too worried about that. I think SpaceX and Elon Musk know about this, about the frequency that this is going to happen in the future as well. It's not, if we at some point see a prototype fly, that does not mean that the next one's not going to blow up again. And it shouldn't discourage anybody either. It's just another step in a program that charts uncharted territory. That's the problem. It is not another Delta IV. It is not another space shuttle. It's not even another Falcon 9. It is a different thing, even though you can compare the Super Heavy with the Falcon 9 booster, which my idea is that the Super Heavy will be built and designed and tested much faster than the Starship, because the Starship has more changes to the concept. The Super Heavy actually is just a gigantic Falcon booster. If it comes down to it, it's very, very similar. It's got the grid fins, and it's got the the same technology. Almost. It's a bit different, of course, but I think that is going to go faster than the Starship prototype design-wise. So don't compare it to a normal rocket. It is that SpaceX can build normal rockets. They've proven that over and over again by building the most reliable and the best rockets out there right now. They are fully, or the boosters are reusable, and they are really, really reliable, and they have really, if they don't have corona, they have a lot of launches, and so they know perfectly how to build a traditional rocket. The reason for Starship blowing up is not because they don't know how to build a traditional rocket. It is a different thing what's happening in Boca Chica right now. I've seen it and I've understood. If you have the chance, go to Boca Chica. You'll understand it even better by being there and not just looking at the pictures. It's a totally different thing, especially because I had the contrast. In my 10 days or 12 days that I spent in the United States, the first 7 I spent at Kennedy Space Center, and I saw everything. I saw ULA, I saw SpaceX, I saw NASA prepare the SLS, and then I went to Boca Chica, and it's a totally different thing. You can't compare it, and that's why blowing them up is part of the whole thing. It doesn't work any other way. If you want to build something new, it's going to blow up. If you do legacy tech, it doesn't. It just takes 2 years to design the thing, and probably the first prototype is going to do the trick. But if you research something that has so many aspects that are new, it blows up. Good question. Thank you. Kartoffeln, nice nickname. I see you've installed Steam. Which games do you play? Right now on Steam, I play Space Engineers. I have my own server. It's a patron server, so there's another benefit. If you become a patron, you can actually game with me sometimes, at least sometimes. So that's the only game I play on Steam right now. I play a lot more on the Epic Store right now. I've recently played Detroit Become Human by Quantic Dream, an interactive movie, and if you like these kinds of games at all, Detroit Become Human is absolutely mind-blowingly awesome. I played it through twice, had a lot of fun. I played it with my wife actually. We switched places. I was watching and she was playing, and the other way around. So it's an awesome game, really good graphics, good actors. They used real actors and used motion capturing to put them into the video game, and it's an awesome game, really nice. But I normally don't have that much time to game anymore, so that's the only 2 games I've recently. Oh, actually, I've played another Quantic Dream game before that. What was the name of it though? Beyond Two Souls, another good one. Quantic Dream, a really good game developer. I can definitely recommend those if you like interactive movies, because it's not run around with a gun and shoot others. It is more story-based and decision-making, but really good games. And I gotta drink something again. Now I lost where I was. Give me a second. Would you go to Mars? We've had that. Which games do you play? There we go. Okay. Happy birthday from Raphael. Thank you very much. How long have you been fan of space with studies? Which studies do you have? I have never studied anything. I'm self-taught with everything I do. And I said before, my love for space started when I was a little kid. Warhawk, what do you think about SpaceX Starship being used to help build the proposed Voyager space station? I don't know about the Voyager space station. Would have to research that first. Sorry, can't give you an answer. That is stuff that I don't know. Give me a link. I'll read into it. Thank you. Phantom, do you think Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket can compete in any way with Starship? No. It will be a competition to Falcon. If Starship actually works, there is not going to be a competition. Believe me, that is going to be the cheapest way, the fastest way, and the most awesome way. And if it works. If it doesn't work, though, New Glenn will be competition for the Falcon rockets. I think that definitely, even for the Falcon Heavy. But it's hard to say yet because it hasn't flown. Good question, though. Thank you. Moon or Mars first? I think colonizing or sending astronauts there or going there yourself. If it is for colonizing, they're gonna colonize Mars first. I think the moon would be easier, but there's not that much to do for colonists on the moon. Scientists, yes, maybe resources, but we don't need the helium-3 yet because the fusion reactors don't work yet. So if Starship is going to be made, it's going to be used to colonize Mars, and that's what I'm looking forward to the most. That's for sure. Thanks for the question. Stefan, I want him to know that the black vignette in his intro goes away in like the last 2 seconds of it, and it's been bugging me for months. Really? I'll have to check that. Let me just see that real quick. That's a fun thing. So there's the I'll put that up. Give me a second. So we'll all see if you are right. So this is the intro video. And he says in the last 2 seconds the vignette goes away. So it fades to black. And then I come in normally. Why don't I come in? Because the program has hiccups. There you go. So it fades to black, and then I come in. What do you mean? Oh, is it that? Oh, yeah, there you go. Wow. Ha ha ha. I never noticed. And that's been bugging you. I'll see if I can fix that, okay? Thank you very much for pointing it out. Yeah, there's the vignette, gone. There you go. Okay, I'll try to fix that. Thank you for the question. That's a fun one. I've never, ever even paid attention to that. Thank you very much. Really cool. And you've reached me, so I'll try to fix it. Robert Bruzeau. Hey Felix, do you think Raptor production is slowing the development of Starship Super Heavy? Yes. That is, especially for Super Heavy, it needs a ton of Raptor engines, and right now they are not at the point where they wanted to be. When they held the Starship presentation last year, they said that in Q1 they would be at 1 Raptor per day, I think. Had that on a recent episode, or at least a few per week, and they're not there yet. So yeah, they'll have to speed up on that. That is crucial for Super Heavy. Neficio1. How do you deal with content you use in your videos? I mean, you make money with mostly content from NASA Spaceflight. Sure, you credit them, but is this all? Just curious. I am in contact with the people. I shook hands with Mary, and on YouTube, you benefit if somebody uses my stuff and credits me. These people will transition over to my channel because they saw, oh, this guy does space stuff. And the same goes for NASA Spaceflight. One of the reasons why they got so big is because not only me, Marcus House, SpaceX Centric, even Everyday Astronaut, I think, has used NASA Spaceflight footage. And so all of them credit NASA Spaceflight. So NASA Spaceflight is all for it, all for us using their content. Chris B actually did a comment on one of my episodes before where he said, people come and ask me why I don't do voiceovers on the NASA Spaceflight videos. And I always reply, I've got Felix for that. So there you go, Chris. If you're watching this, thank you very much. That was one of the most awesome comments I ever got on one of my episodes. And everybody benefits from it, basically. So it's all an interconnected thing. The space tuber community is interconnected. I have a lot of stuff I share with Marcus House, by the way. He's an awesome guy, and he's become a friend over the time, actually. And I'm looking forward to visiting him in hopefully next year. Hopefully, he lives in Tasmania, so that's pretty far away. Really nice guy. And so on and so forth. The Martian Colonist. I've spoken to Joe Scott before. I met up with Everyday Astronaut. So everybody, they are all kind of connected, and so it helps them. It helps me if somebody uses my stuff, and it helps them if I use their stuff. So they don't have a problem with that, luckily, because they do an awesome job, and it would be a pity if I couldn't use their footage. Good question, though. Thank you. Antonio Montana. When do you think SpaceX will attach the wings, and will you live stream when they move for the first time? Yes. And yes, I don't know when that's going to happen, but I think it's going to be serial number 5, because serial number 4 and the 150-meter hop wouldn't need any fins. Fins wouldn't be useful at that speed and at that height. So I don't think they're going to do that on serial number 4, but there's a chance they'll do it on serial number 5, and I'll definitely live stream the first flights, all of them. I'm very much looking forward to it. What? Thank you for the super chat, Mike, and I don't know what you wanted to tell me with that. You're back and great. Hey, Gemma. I don't know what you meant with that. And Anthony Losego, super chat. Thank you very, very, very much. Of course it is monetized. Any data speculation on proving static fire 150? Of course it is monetized. The stream's monetized. That would be awesome. It always tells me it's not monetized. Any data speculation on proving static fire 150-meter hop dates? 150-meter hop, 2 weeks. Static fire right before. Proofing, I don't know what you mean with that. Any closures on the books? Closures on the books? I don't know what you mean. Do you mean the books in the set? If so, tell my moderators, and if I'm doing another 2 hours of stream, I might be picking it up. I gotta hurry a little bit with the questions. I hope this helped you. Thank you very much for the super chat. Philip Bailey, another super chat. Thank you very, very much. Have you considered a GoFundMe to get to Baikonur? Yeah. Yeah, the clock's ticking on Soyuz. Yeah, definitely. Everybody who's not working on a reusable rocket right now is going to be out of business in 5 years. So I really hope that the clock's ticking on Soyuz, even though it is my favorite rocket. If Roscosmos doesn't come up with a new rocket, they're going to have trouble in the future. So, and I'm pretty sure they will. Everybody's developing it right now. Go fund me to go to Baikonur. I could try. Thank you for the idea. I'll look into it. I've heard GoFundMe before, but I've never done anything like it. So we'll see. Thank you. Raphael Ball. Who's the man on the bottom of the shelf? I'm pretty sure you mean. Let me pick out the awesome smartphone cam. There we go. This guy. This guy is Konrad Zuse, and this is actually an original autograph. So he actually wrote on this, and there's some sort of stuff on here, and I don't know what it is, but I'll have to clean it. So this is Konrad Zuse. He's one of the main inventors connected to the electronic computer. He built the Zuse 1 in 1954, I think, and he did groundbreaking research work on that. Without him, it would have taken longer. So that's an autograph. My dad gave that to me, and it was an awesome gift, and that's why I have that down there. I'll just real quick put it back. Okay. So that's the man in the bottom shelf, and the other man in the bottom shelf is Elon Musk, but you know that guy. Kevin Groovy. Please ask Felix about his favorite music. Okay, wow. I listen to anything from Mozart to dubstep to Skrillex. It really depends on the mood. I love oldies. I love classical music. I love myself some Jimi Hendrix sometimes, or Eric Johnson. I'm really into electric guitars. I tried to learn electric guitar, but I failed. But really anything. Anything. Well, not anything. I'm not a big fan of country music, but really I have so many different genres that I listen to. So you couldn't say that I'm an electronic music guy, or that I love rock music, or that I'm totally into classic. I listen to all of it. Good question though. Thank you. Douglas Pistone Linares. Important question that is killing me. Does SpaceX plan to build a more permanent and automated facility? Right now it doesn't seem very rugged. It does not look like a proper facility. Yes. I had that on an episode as well. Automation on Starship, on Starship production. That's what they're going to do. If they really want to build 1,000 Starships, it's going to look like a gigafactory, like a Tesla gigafactory, and that's what they'll have to build if they want to pump them out so fast. So yeah, expect a lot of automation, a lot of segment building, all that kind of stuff is going to come later on, because right now they're just in the early development phase, but they're already building more permanent buildings as we speak. So that the era of the tents and the dirt roads is soon going to come to an end in Boca Chica. That is my opinion about that. Tom Schilling, do you know if Starships could work? Starship's cold worked metal will have to deal with recrystallization from re-entry heating. Whew. I'm not a metallurgist, so I've heard all those terms before, but I would lean out of the window a lot if I'd actually answer it, because I'm not a professional in that regard. So I really don't want to give an answer on that. I would have to lean out the window way too much, and I wouldn't be comfortable anymore. So Google it. Thanks for the question though. Pitstack is asking also, what's up with that weird picture of your dad over your shoulder? That is not my dad. Thanks for the question. Felix, I just want to say, Kevin Groovy, I just want to say I think I am watching since episode 5, but never paid anything via Patreon or now YouTube member, but you are the first one I will support when I decide to become a patron. Thank you very, very much whenever that's going to happen. And you don't have to either. Liking, subscribing, also when you're on the live stream right now, hit the like button, and it really does help. All of that is support. Support can also be for free. So there you go. Thank you. How many questions did you guys have? That is insane. I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna answer all the questions today. I'm sorry. I was too slow and this is too much. I'm gonna try to skip a little bit through here. What is the microphone called? That is a Rode and USB NT, I think. It's a really good microphone, and it's but you gotta buy this thing here, the arm. You gotta buy that extra. That doesn't come with it, but it's a really good setup, definitely. What's my screen resolution? 1440p, but I've got 3 of them. Rolf Jacobs has another super chat. Thank you very much. If the Raptors keep evolving, can older ones still be used? Possibly, but it's also a guessing game again. It's hard to say. As soon as they have a very reliable engine, they're going to toss out the old ones, because it would be too risky to just use an older, not so reliable engine if you have the better ones available. Manov-san, can you try to interview Peter Beck from Rocket Lab? I will. It's really hard to get the guy though. Mohamed Junaid. I'm sorry for butchering the name. What do you think about structural integrity of Starship? Will it be able to hold the weight of payloads? Yes. What crushed serial number 3 was 485 tons of liquid nitrogen. That is a lot. And the lower tank was not pressurized. If the lower tank would have been pressurized, it would have held the weight, and the payload is maximum 100 tons. So that's a lot less than 485 tons. So I wouldn't worry too much about serial number 3. It was a human error. If they would have had the lower tank pressurized, everything would have been fine. But since they hadn't, nothing was fine. So it really was a human error, and it's prototyping. That's it. Like I said before, even if we in one glorious moment in the future we'll see a Starship fly, but that doesn't mean that the next prototype won't be blowing up again. It's prototype phase, and this is that was a human error, and that's to be expected. But the structural integrity wasn't the problem of that failure. If that makes any sense. I hate it. Cillian Fusilier, probably. How do you feel whenever a Starship prototype explodes? It's. I even have a nickname for it by now. I call it cryogenic testing because I hate it, as many people do as well. Thank you, Ralph Pierre. Do you think that they have stockpiled many engines? No, I don't think so. I think they have barely enough engines right now. So Hawthorne is as important as Boca Chica right now when it comes to the Starship program, because they need lots of engines, and they're behind the schedule, at least, that Elon said on the last Starship presentation. Do you think Rafael Amorbal is asking? Do you think NASA will soon give support to Starship? Nope. They will give support to Starship as soon as they need it, and as soon as they see that it is safe, and as soon as it's anywhere close to human rating or NASA payload rating, because NASA payload is something different than just commercial payloads. It'll take a while. But Musk already said that he wants to perform as many launches as he can in the beginning to get these ratings as quick as possible. But it'll take some time, and it's not going to be anytime soon. Hi, Alex. I'm Felix. Congrats. And my question is, do you know other space tubers in person? Marcus House, Everyday Astronaut, and others. I know Scott Manley, Everyday Astronaut, and Marcus House. I hope I haven't forgotten anyone. And TJ from I'm sorry for not. I need more space. And Raw Space. Oh God, I always forget the name. I'm sorry if you're watching this. Todd. I think Todd. But I only know Manley and Tim Dodd in person. Those are the ones that I met, but I've spent a lot of time chatting with Marcus House. He's very close to me. He's a really, really nice guy. Watch his stuff. It's worth it. He's an awesome dude. Definitely. Tom Schilling, another super chat. Thank you very, very much for the super chats. Will Starship's cold work... Oh, yeah, we had that. Google it. That was my answer. Roman Joe, here you've seen some gators. I have seen some gators in Florida, yep. As a German, the fact that they are just in the rivers always kind of scares me, yes. When we drove around with the tour buses, we saw plenty of them. And big ones, too. Smaller ones, of course, but also big ones. So, especially in the area around the Cape, because it's all protected area, and nobody's allowed to go there, besides the people working there. Actually, I think... of the land that NASA owns at the Cape, they don't use 97% of it or something. Like the majority of the land is just not used, and nobody's allowed to go there, so nature can thrive, and that's why they have so many crocodiles there. Outside of the Cape, crocodiles are actually rather rare. They exist, but you find a lot more at the Cape. Jettison guy, what about it? When a serial number cryo test goes wrong, how do you feel? Yeah, I already answered that. Why are you giving me this question twice? I hate it. I know you hate it too. He's one of my patrons as well, and he's on the Discord, and we've had a lot of talks about the recent serial number 3 failure. That was bad. It was really bad. I hated that because I had so much hope for that test candidate, and then it just got crushed by a human error. It was a pity, and I really hope that that's not going to happen again. Helena Boyer, thank you for showing up. Thank you very, very much. Another patron. Hi, Felix. Congrats on your huge achievement. We all love you, and you rock. Thank you. 50,000. That is just insane. Stephen Romer. When did you start saying you rock? I don't remember. I couldn't say. You'll have to find out at what point in the episodes that first appeared. I just think it's a good way of conveying um, all sorts of things, actually: gratitude, and accomplishment and achievement and all kinds of stuff fit into You Rock. And it's also not too serious, but also not too funny. So that I think it's good. You Rock. It works. So that's at some point I started it. I don't remember when though. Good question though. Thank you. Maximilian Gerbeck. Do you think some Starship clones will show up in the future? Yes. The first Falcon 9 clones are showing up in China, and it's a good thing in my opinion. When they first invented the car, uh, and nobody would have ever copied that, we would have Mercedes Benz, and that's it. And it's a good thing that somebody started copying it because it's a good idea. And so that's what happened. What's happening with Falcon 9 right now, and if it works, it's what's going to happen with Starship as well. At least I think so. I would be very surprised if nobody would copy that. Maximilian Gerbeck again. Specs of your PC. Any favorite games? Favorite games already answered. My all-time favorite game in the last 5 years or so, not all time, but in the last 5 years or so, is definitely Space Engineers. I know the Kerbal Space Program fans will scream now, but there's the two different teams, and I'm definitely on Team Space Engineers. I love Kerbal Space Program, but I loved Space Engineers even more. And the specs of the PC is it's an AMD Ryzen 3900, I think, 12 cores, 32 gigs of RAM, GTX 1080, and it's water cooled because I need to work and record here. So it's a pretty beefy rig. It's needed for producing this kind of stuff, though. If you look at this again. At these timelines, and you see all these different elements, and you see that I don't even have this bar on top here where it's yellow and red shows how much it's pre-rendered already to make it more smooth. And I normally don't even pre-render at all because the PC is strong enough to just pull through here without it even being rendered. I can scrub through this, and that's what you can only do with a beefy PC. So it's pretty beefy. Oh God, question 71. Oh my God, guys, how many questions do you have? This is insane. Okay, Lee Gustav is asking, 100 years from now, what will people say about the Starship when it's sitting in a museum on Mars, and how will it compare to a rocket 100 years from now? Oh, that's very... Oh... I'm pretty sure that if this is all going to happen, there is going to be a museum on Mars with a Starship in it. That is for sure. But everything else is just wild speculation. What a rocket looks like in 100 years. I couldn't even tell you what a rocket looks like in 20 years or 30 years. Because if anything, if technology, and especially the way how we advance right now, if it's told me anything, then it's that the future is really hard to predict. In 1989, I was a little boy watching Star Trek: The Next Generation, and Picard had these really cool, awesome tablets there. He would have been jealous of this thing. So it's really, really hard to predict where technology is going to go. And I hope it's going to go far. And I what's more important maybe is that we are careful with the planet we're sitting on, and that we're careful with the resources and with the biosphere that we need to live. Because if we don't, this might sound like a tree hugger or something, but I'm really actually just logical about this. If we don't pay attention, maybe in 100 years, a rocket won't look like anything at all, because it won't be there. So we will have to be careful. But if we are, it's going to be a glorious future. I'm one of those people saying that almost anything can be done by a good engineer and a scientist. So if we've got enough time, there's going to be a lot of stuff happening in the future. Good question. Thank you. Tommy Smitty. Hi Felix, do you still believe that you will reach 100K this year as I proposed in the beginning this year? My right now, I think I'm gonna hit it without bragging. That's just dry statistics here. I think I'm gonna hit it in September or October, which would be absolutely awesome. And I'm gonna probably take that silver play button somewhere safe where nobody can see it or something. It's just incredible. When I started this channel, I would have never thought I'd reach 10,000 subscribers, and now I'm sitting here doing a 50K celebration stream. Thank you all for watching. As I always say at this point, thank you for sharing, thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing, and thank you. This is a dream come true, and you make me smile every morning when I get up, basically. Thank you. I think we're nearing the end of the question marathon here. David Beal, a super chat. Thank you very much for the coffee money. Love the show. Some FB the outtakes. Yeah. Like I said, I think you are a patron, right? I'm planning to do. It's really hard to remember all the names at 315 patrons. So if you're not, but I think you are, and I'm planning to do a patron exclusive with only outtakes. So look forward to that. Question 73 from Mies. Are you going to ESA Open Day 2020? Yes. I am, and I was at the last one, and it was a blast. And I've already contacted my contact at ESA in the Netherlands, and I'm definitely going to go there again if at all possible. I will. Yes. Awesome thing. If you're close to it, go to ESA Open Day. It is incredible. Lee Gustav, do you think SpaceX will build starships in orbit in the future? Yes. The only way to go if we want to go further, faster, and cheaper is in orbit construction. And as soon as that's possible, it's going to be done. And I think Starship is the missing piece to that, actually. So yeah. It might take a while, of course, but yeah, definitely. Super Kartoffel, do you think SpaceX will try to get to other places in the solar systems after Mars? Yes, why not? They've already proposed Enceladus and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, Starship would be possible to do more. Why not use it? If you've got the resources, if it works out, if it's safe to do, we will proceed. We will continue. That's what we've always done. We weren't stopped by a gigantic ocean between Europe and the United States. At some point, actually the Vikings were quicker, but at some point somebody set sails and did it. And that's exactly what we're going to do in space as well, as soon as we have the sails. And Starship might be the sails. So yeah, definitely. I hope so. NS Düz, Felix, what do you think about first Starship Super Heavy test flight? Will it send the Cybertruck to Mars? Yeah, that would be an awesome demonstrator. I hope so, actually. I thought about that too, what you could use as a payload demonstrator on a Starship, and maybe the semi-truck would be cool too. That would be a statement. Like the 40-ton with... best would be with a trailer, you know? We'll see. It'll be absolutely fantastic to see a super heavy fly, that's for sure. That's gonna be something. If you're a rocket enthusiast, you've probably had yourself drooling in front of Saturn V videos where it takes off in slow-mo, and if you like that, you're gonna love super heavy. That thing's gonna be amazing. It's going to be incredible. I'm so looking forward to it, and I'll definitely try to catch it for real. Like go down to Boca Chica or wherever it will be and catch that first super heavy flight live, being there. That would be awesome. And I'll use this again to stream for you guys. That's actually the setup that I used. If you watched my Boca Chica live streams, standing in front of the launch site, this is what I used. This is the setup that I used, and it worked actually really, really good, surprisingly good. If you want to know what this is, it's an DJI Osmo 3 Mobile, I think. It is like $100, and if you have a good smartphone, the battery of this thing lasts for, I don't know, 2 weeks or so if you record every day. Seriously, the battery is like crazy good, and it's super easy to use. The part below is basically just like a joystick. If you move this up and down, the smartphone will do the same thing, and it's completely stabilized, and it's it's awesome. You can do a lot of stuff with this thing. Very nice. Mark Piero, Felix, tell us all about how they pressurize and liquid fuel tank in zero gravity. Ugh. Mark Piero, I wish I knew all about that. It is gravity assisted, so that's basically all I can tell you about it. To settle the tanks, they use micro bursts from the engines to settle the propellant. But then it's gravity assisted, so the gravity pushes the fuel from one tank into the other. But I can't go into more detail on that one. It is. First of all, there's not that much known about it, and secondly, I think that is all there is to know about it from the easy standpoint. If you know anybody who knows more about that, that would be really interesting. Actually, send me a link or something if there is any more information on that process, because I think there isn't much about it yet. It's another field where SpaceX will have to do a lot of research, actually. Okay. Question 78 from @badaboom. Would you create a team to check your videos before being released like Marcus House did? I would. The problem is, though, I'm actually trying right now to do that, but it is really a different situation for my channel because Marcus releases a video per week. So that means he has 4 or 5 days to write the script and have the quality control squad, that's what they're called on his channel, to check the script. I write the script and then I record. Seriously, I do 3 or 4 hours of writing, and right after that I jump in front of the camera to record to make the release day, because I do 2 episodes per week. And so, and I can't pre-produce, so I could just go insanely fast for 2 weeks and then be pre-produced for 2 weeks and keep it that way. The problem is that part of it is news. It's news. You can't pre-produce that, so it's difficult. I have 2 by now who are actually willing to keep up with that pace, but it is really hard to do. It's often that they want to check the script, but I've already recorded it because it's too quick. So there is one of the biggest difficulties in producing the What About It episodes for me is to have everything correct without having anybody to check the script. Others have like 10 people who can fact check and correct and whatever, and I normally have 1 to 2 people, and those understandably most of the time even miss the script. So I'll have to be really careful with what I say, but I think I'm doing a good job. I've had a lot of stuff where people said that is totally wrong, and in the end it was right. So I'm happy about that. But there will be errors slipping in all the time. Basically, that even happens for Marcus House, and it is really hard to avoid. And but that's the reason why I don't have that big of a quality control squad as Marcus has, and I envy him for it. It's a really, really nice thing to have. Definitely. Thank you. John Rambo, what impressed you most in Boca Chica Hika trip? I don't know what a Hika trip is, but Boca Chica trip, on your Boca Chica trip. Starhopper would be what impressed me the most, because it's incredibly huge. When you see a picture of Starhopper, it doesn't come across how big that thing is. Huge. It's like a flying house. And that was incredible. Other than that, the problem was when I was in Boca Chica, I could only see the tents, people working. The Mark 1 nose cone was sitting there, but there was no Starship. The only tank section that I saw on my trips in the United States was actually in Cocoa. I saw the Mark II tank section that is still sitting there, and it's a full-size tank section. Even though there's stuff different nowadays, it is the full size, and it was sitting there in the evening sun with the orange glow of the sun on the side of it, and that was one of the most majestic sights I've seen, technology-wise, rocket-wise. It was incredible. So I was lucky to at least have seen something there, because the problem is serial number 1 had just blown up, and serial number 2 test tank was there, but that was just a small test tank, basically a big metal bubble. That's all it was. So yeah, the most impressive thing, Starship wise, or test candidate prototype wise, was the Starhopper. But I don't regret being there, having been there, because it's incredible to see that ant's nest of people running around, constantly working everywhere. There's like literally everywhere there is something happening. There's not a square feet in Boca Chica at the construction site or at the launch site where there's no work going on. That is just incredible to see that, and you can go right close up to it on the other side of the street, see the people work. It was amazing. If you've got the time, go there. Even if there's no Starship launch going on, it is still worth it to go there and see it and see and soak in the atmosphere. That was awesome. I haven't read Matthew. Thank you for the super chat. Have you read Kim Stanley Robinson's Mars books? I haven't. I'm sorry. To give me a link. If I find the time, I might read it, but I can't promise anything. Marco Teunissen. Marco Teunissen sounds really German. I hope it is. Otherwise, it's Teunissen or something. Do you think the first skydive landing 20-kilometer hop of Starship will succeed, or will it crash? Okay, 50-50. It's speculation again. You can't really tell. I'm crossing my fingers that it's gonna work, but it'll be difficult. It's again uncharted territory. 50-50. I think 50-50 is a solid guess, in my opinion. It can go wrong, and it can go, and it can work, and it's 50-50. That would be my guess, honestly. I really hope it's gonna work, though. I really hope it's gonna work, because something working means they have more things right than they have wrong. But something going wrong means they can identify problems. So either way, it would be good to see one fly. I want to see, right now, I really want to see one pass the cryo test, nothing happening, actually see a static fire and a 150-meter hop. I would be fine with that right now. So SpaceX, if you watch this, be really, really careful with the serial number 4 cryogenic test, please. That is really important. Good question, though. Thank you. Oh, it is Dutch. Thank you. Thank you for the edit there. Ivan Roche, question number 90. How do you make sure all your information is legit when you're mouthing your presentation? I research a lot. Seriously, I watch. I don't watch any TV anymore. I don't even. If I didn't have the John Hopkins Corona map, I didn't even know what's happening with Corona right now. I research a lot into it. Of course, like I said before, there are errors slipping in, and also because I like speculating. I don't speculate. I try to keep the speculation to a minimum, but sometimes it's just fun to speculate what it's going to be in the end. And so I sometimes do that, and sometimes that is wrong as well. But everything else I describe, it's never, or like 99% of the time, it's not guessing. It's either an educated speculation or it is researched, and most of the time is researched. For example, on the heat exchanger on the bulkhead, on the thrust section bulkhead, I had that on, I think, episode 84 even. And there's nothing official on it from SpaceX, but I spent like 4 hours analyzing every tube that goes along that bulkhead, and that's the conclusion I came to. And so that is how I normally do this. If there is no official information, I try to reverse engineer it, basically, to see what this thing would do if you turn it on. What's gonna happen actually? What is it? And the fuel, the thing with the heat exchanger is that there is no other way. There is fuel. There's gonna be fuel in there, and that fuel is gonna run around the bulkhead, and that fuel is gonna come from the engine, and it's gonna go through the to the plumbing on the outside. And of the plumbing on the outside, we know that most of it is used for the autogenous pressurization system. There you go, heat exchanger. And that's how many of the things that I explain on the Starship updates work. Everything else normally is just research, because you don't have to speculate on my second news topic. I normally don't speculate. On the first one, on the Starship updates, I sometimes do because it's interesting, and that's how that comes. Thank you. Good question. Question 91, Planetary Prospector. How do you get in touch with, how did you, Twitter. I messaged him on Twitter and he actually replied, and I'm super happy. 2 of my patrons helped me with it. They pre-cooked him basically and it worked out, and I'm super happy that I had the chance to have that interview with Robert Zubrin. It's an awesome guy, very, very interesting person to talk to. Twitter. Oh God, Hatun. Question number 92 from Hatun. Why do you like Florida? I mean, you're gonna be busy running around in the U.S. West and East next year to catch most events, as you are a good presenter. You have ideas. Shouldn't you reside more centrally? I have actually thought about that. The point is though that I hate winter. I love snow and snowball fights with the kids and building a snowman, but I hate 4 months of cold. And so that would be one of the reasons why I'd like to move to Florida. It's beautiful nature down there. It's a really nice place. Have you ever been to Florida? I loved it. Every place I went to was hard to explain. It's just that I went there and I really, really liked it, and that's why I would want to move to Florida. And also, rockets wise, most of it is still gonna happen in at the Cape. You'll still have Blue Origin, NASA, ULA, and SpaceX at the Cape, where in Boca Chica you only have SpaceX. There's gonna be a lot of stuff happening there for sure, but the flight to Boca Chica actually was very convenient. Through Houston all the way down to Brownsville, 4 hours of flight, total of $180 or so. I would be fine with that. I wouldn't want to live somewhere in Iowa because I don't know any people there either. Most of the people I know in the United States are from the East Coast, Maryland, the area, New York, and then all the way up to Milwaukee. So I wouldn't know anybody in the Midwest or somewhere there. So in my opinion, makes sense. Good question though. Thank you. Florida is awesome. I loved it. Maximilian Gerbeck again. What's that space logo in the background? Oh, ha! Awesome cell phone cam. All right. You mean that thing? Can you see it now? It's the Flat Galaxy Society. It is a joke. It is actually the logo of the Flat Earth Society. So on the Flat Earth Society, there is a flat Earth in that oval below the stars and the sun. And it's just a joke. It's the Flat Galaxy Society. I made it up. And you can even get that on the merch store. You can get a t-shirt or that picture that I have there. And I just found it to be really funny. I had that idea at some point and I just made it up. That's the space symbol in the background. Decol. Oh god. Decol closure. What reference material did you read to build your background? Reference material? I know about the 3/3 rule. I think that's the correct term in English, but I didn't really use it. I actually thought about the set as it is right now. The problem with it is that there's so many people sending me really, really cool stuff, and that I actually want to display that stuff because it's so cool that they're sending it. And at one point, I'm probably gonna just have shelves in the background with all sorts of stuff in it if this continues. I don't know what I didn't think too much when I made that set. I just wanted it to look cool. It might be a little too cluttered, but I don't really bring it over my heart to remove any of the stuff that's on the set either. So it's probably gonna just fill up over time. In the end, everything is gonna be covered with all sorts of stuff, and then I'll just scream and run out. I don't know. I haven't read any material on how to build a set, how to build a background. I just went with the flow, how what looked right, and I hope you like the set, and I hope I won't have the problem with the cluttered set um, coming too close to it's gonna happen. I've really thought about what I'm gonna do if I have more and more people sending me stuff, because I'll have to find some sort of solution, like probably oh, I don't know. I'll have to come up with something. But I didn't read anything about set building or anything. This is just I just made it. And my wife made the wallpaper, and she did a fine job with that. I love that wallpaper. I've had many people ask me if that was a blue screen even, and I think it was a really cool idea to put the stars background in there. But that's basically all. It's all self-made. PC specs, already said that. It's a Ryzen 3 3900 with 12 cores, 32 gigabytes of RAM, 1080 GTX 1080 from Nvidia, not the Ti, just the normal 1080, because you don't need that fast graphics card to render. RAM is really important. CPU cores are really important, and fast storage. I have lots of SSDs in there, terabytes of SSDs for all the raw footage and all that kind of stuff. So it's water cooled, to be silent. That is important in my opinion. But that's it. It's a rendering rig, not a gaming rig. But you can game on it. It powers three monitors, so it's powerful. It's very expensive. And I hate that it is so expensive, because I would have loved to spend the money on the camera first, because the camera is good. It's a Sony Alpha 7 II, which is already above $1,000. But I would have loved to have a 4K camera, even just to use the resolution to be able to downscale and have more detail. But that is like $3,000, but I'm saving on it, and I've had a little fundraiser already on the last Starlink live stream, which is all saved, by the way, in the background. If there's anybody who did a super chat on that Starlink stream, it's still there, the money, and I'm still saving for the camera. And at one point, the episodes are gonna get much clearer from one episode to the next, and then you'll know that I have the 4K camera, because that's gonna help a lot. And what question 96, George Jones, what do you think the final design of the landing legs will look like on Starship? Cheers from Liverpool. Wider stand than it is right now. But other than that, I think they're gone. They are completely gone away from the fin design. I loved it. It was really, really nice. But the typical Tintin Starship. But I think that's not going to come back, because it weighs a lot, and you don't need these big fins in the back. You need movable fins, and if it's movable, you can't really use it as a leg. At least I think so. Maybe they could use the two fins they have right now, move them back a little bit, have extending legs out of them, and then you just need one extending leg on a third side or something like that. See, that's where we start to speculate again. That's what I love doing. But this way, they'd have a wider stand. I really think they'd need a bit of a wider stand. That's the one thing that I think that they're definitely going to still change over time. Well, not definitely, because it's speculation. It's not known. But that's what I would do. It kind of looks... I mean, imagine them landing on uneven ground with that kind of narrow stand. I don't know. Wider stand, definitely. Stefan R., what exactly do you do in Space Engineers? Space Engineers is Lego that went into bed with Minecraft, that went into bed with Ark Survival Evolved, I'd say. It's very little about fighting. It's a lot about engineering machines, basically. You build them out of blocks, that's why Lego. You mine resources, that's why Minecraft. And you have a lot of creative building, that's why Ark, because Ark, in my opinion, was an awesome game to go creative in building castles and all kinds of stuff. I've done that. So Space Engineers is the fun in Space Engineers is in building machines that actually do something, because you have a ton of different blocks that all do real stuff, and you can combine them to create new machines, and that is awesome. It's like Kerbal Space Program, where you can move more freely. You're not fixed to a landing pad and to a landing site. You can actually move around. You can build a rover and drive around and all that kind of stuff. So awesome game. If you haven't checked it out yet, good game, definitely. If you're into these kinds of games, definitely. Question 98, Dunder Bluebone. What would you like to see Starhopper in a museum? Yeah, I would love to see Starhopper in a museum. I've said that to Elon even on Twitter many times, that he should preserve Starhopper. I think that thing is historical, and I think he shouldn't make an engine test stand out of it or anything. I think he should preserve it. I don't know if he's gonna do it because it's really big, but I think he should do it. So that's my stance on Starhopper. They should put that in a museum. It would deserve it. And right now it's sitting in the open, right next to the sea, meaning that the salty vapor from the sea is blowing all over it, making it rusty already, and it's not good. It suffers. SpaceX, change that. It really needs a museum. Bob Jotman, thank you very much for the super chat. Put this in the piggy bank for your next trip to Texas. I will. Thank you. Is it dinner time for you? Space Now. Is it dinner? Felix, isn't it dinner? It is already 9:30, and we had a very, very good dinner already. My wife cooked my favorite food, Bratwurst with Kartoffelpüree and dicke Bohnen. That is a very typical food. It's a German Bratwurst. You probably know that term even in English. And mashed potatoes and fat beans. I don't know what they're called in English. I don't even know if you have them in the United States. I've never seen them. It's one of my all-time favorite foods, and we had that this evening. Thank you, Schatzi. That was really good. Andreas Holy, thank you for the super chat again. Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you for this work. Wünsche dir noch später eine gute Nacht und mache weiter so. Ich warte jedes Mal, wenn du streamst. Starlink 6. I'm gonna definitely do another stream on Starlink 6. Definitely. Geoff S. Jones, another super chat. Thank you very, very much. Felix, you're awesome. You rock for the super chat. Thank you. That is so much appreciated. It helps a lot. It is vital for the channel. Like, really, really, thank you. Question number 100. Ping, ping, ping. Itay Ahorn. Have you seen the Rock Lab test? You mean the Rocket Lab test? Probably. You mean the mid-air retrieval? I haven't. I mean, I have seen the footage, and it's gonna be on tomorrow's episode, even with a little bit of history on mid-air retrieval, because Rocket Lab isn't the first to do it. It's awesome. Of course I've seen the footage from the test, and I think what Rocket Lab's doing there is incredible. The Electron launcher is a masterpiece in its segment. It's doing an awesome job, and if they manage to retrieve that out of midair and put it into the grabber, if you haven't done so yet, watch Tim Dodd's interview with Peter Beck, the recent one. Awesome. Lots of questions answered way before they're even going to happen. Peter Beck, for example, answered that once the helicopter has grabbed onto the booster, it's gonna bring it over to a boat, and on the boat you'll have a mechanism that looks like roughly like this, and it's gonna grab onto the rocket. So the helicopter flies in, puts the booster in, and it grabs on, and then the grabbing mechanism holds the booster until they're back at on land. That's gonna be awesome. I'm very much looking forward to that. Yeah, so I watched it. Thank you for question number 100. Very cool. If schedule, it's exactly. If schedule is tight, it's right. If it's long, it's wrong. Elon Musk, exactly. Haha. Sammy, thank you very, very much for the super chat. Twang time. Let me try this again. Twang, twang time. There you go. Very, very nice. Marco, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Awesome. Thank you very, very much. All right. This was a very, very long presentation. Let me actually hop into the chat here again, because I was reading off the Discord from my moderators. So now I'm actually looking at the chat again for, I don't know, since 1.5 hours or so. There's still 378 people watching this, and that is absolutely awesome. And I thank you very, very, very much for joining me in this this evening to just have a good time, to answer another 100 questions that you wanted some answers to. It's always a joy. It's a pleasure. I love doing these live streams because this is basically the only way for me to get in contact with the people who are not patrons. Patrons get this every evening because I'm on the Discord a lot. I'm always in the voice chat and anybody can jump in, but everybody else, that's it. That's the live streams, and that's why I like them so much. So thank you for joining. Thank you for celebrating the 50,000 subscribers with me. It's still unbelievable, and I'm already looking forward to the 100,000 subscribers live stream. If I don't die of Corona, it'll happen. And thank you for the support. Thank you for everything you're giving this channel, even if it's just a like, because I had that question before that somebody said that he wants to become a patron. That is super awesome. If you want to become a patron, do so, because it is essential for the channel. But if you can't, like the stream, subscribe to the channel, share the episodes. Even a comment under the episodes helps me, because the YouTube algorithm detects that, hey, people talk about this video. So there's a lot of ways you can support the channel with, and a lot of people already do that, and that is why I'm doing this 50,000 subscriber live stream, which is incredible. It's bonkers. It's awesome. So thank you for joining me, and I'm gonna go to bed now, probably after, like, I don't even know how long I streamed, 2.5 hours, I think. It was awesome to have you here tonight. Look forward to tomorrow's episode. On Saturday, you're gonna see Zubrin interview part 2. On Monday, again, you're gonna have the next episode. On Thursday, you're gonna have another episode, and then on Saturday, you're gonna have another Zubrin interview. So the next 2 weeks are gonna be covered. Like every 3 days, there's gonna be release from me. Think even more, every 2.5 days or something. So my team and I, we're busy for you, and we're having a lot of fun doing this. And stay tuned, and thank you for showing up, and have a great night, and see you all on tomorrow's episode. Bye. And now I gotta find the button. There we go. All right, bye.
Everywhere you go, light follows. Everywhere you go, Everywhere you go, light follows. Everywhere you go, light follows.